After his father fell ill with tuberculosis, Jack Kahl and his family moved to Lakeview Terrace Projects in Cleveland, where they lived for several years. What you're about to see is a far cry from where he grew up. Mr. Kahl is the retired CEO of Manco Inc., whose best-known product is duct tape. So you could say that this is the house that duct tape built.
Not literally.
In June 1963, Mr. Kahl joined the Melvin A. Anderson Company, or Manco Inc., which sells pressure-sensitive tapes. He bought the company exactly 8 years later, and today is credited for Manco's transformation into a multi-million-dollar enterprise.
We have 5.9 million Facebook friends because people have such an intense interest in duct tape, especially young people. But it's largely a man's product that evolved, and the wife bought it and he used it. Now we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids making crafts out of it.
See that ground beneath Mr. Kahl's Avon Lake home? It wasn't easy to come by. Mr. Kahl asked 3 times to buy the lot, and 3 times heard no. Later, the landowner called and asked if he was still interested, and its position on the Lake Erie shoreline is a big reason why he was.
But I like this view here, and it's just so expansive. And it changes all the time. Yesterday it was roaring, today it's calming down. Sometimes it's crystal, clear and very blue. And sometimes when the northeasters come in from Buffalo, you cannot believe the 14-foot waves that cause splash that come up on here. This is an old schooner wheel I bought in New York. It was 150 years, so it's about 160 years old. And I had it mounted on this thing. And some of my friends come over here and help drive my house to Canada. They give all kinds of orders. They have a lot of fun with it.
The home Mr. Kahl built is brimming with incredible features. There's a pool, a beach house, and an upstairs workout room accessible by elevator. And while so much of the home is new, Mr. Kahl added some very old elements too, including fireplaces he had dismantled and transported from France. Down in Mr. Kahl's lower level, there's an eye-catching wine room where he hosts wine tastings, and adjoining it is a sizable, well-stocked wine cellar. Walk down the hallway and there's an Irish bar, a reflection of his heritage. And this next room is Mr. Kahl's home office, which pays homage to 2 inspirations in his life.
When something happens in your life that you see that's so dramatic and you didn't see it coming, I was watching a horse race, but the way that horse finished the race, he had a 12-length lead at the stretch. He could have jaunted home. Instead, he ran the fastest quarter of the whole race and set a record that will never, ever, ever be broken. And I was crying, realizing that not only was he winning the race, I was happy for the horse, but I wasn't doing what the horse was doing. I dove into reading and becoming a student that I never was in college. Now I have a passion that won't go away, and I thank a horse for that.
Mr. Kahl also calls Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, a mentor. The two established the foundation for their friendship during a brief chat in Mr. Walton's lobby, long before Walmart became the behemoth it is today.
And he sees me and he says, "You're Jack, aren't you?" Like that. I couldn't believe he remembered my name. And he says, "You're a real student of management, aren't you, Jack?" I said, "I guess I am." "Well, so am I." He says, "So I'll cut you a deal. If you'll share with me the best things you're reading and learning, I'll do the same with you." To the day he died 14 years later. That's what we did.
Mr. Kahl's family also has been a great support and inspiration, and that's clear not just in the array of photographs throughout his home, but also in the remarkably lifelike portraits of family that smile from the walls of the home's lower level.
This is my mother and my 3 sisters, Mary, Therese, Coletta, and Margie. This is a story about women. So they had it all done. Coletta and Margie came in here, and Margie all of a sudden one day, she's totally white now. She's like my mother. She said, she told the artist, "Make me blonde," so she takes 10, 15 years off her life. Then Coletta comes in and says, "Well, if she's going to do that, I'm going to give you a hairdo I wore 15 years ago." And he had to redo the whole head to put that boofy look on her. And then this is my father, and my two brothers. We've had actually people in the bar picking this bottle up at night when they've had one too many. That's how real this stuff is.
What also is very real is Mr. Kahl's memory of growing up, a family in need. To that end, he gives regularly to the Cleveland Food Bank.
During that time, we were living on welfare down in the projects. Well, you remember forever the hand-me-down clothes, and if you got a pair of pants that only had one hole in them or a pair of socks that only had one hole, you were happy.
Given his humble beginnings, it's not entirely surprising that Mr. Kahl would refer to this home as a dream. But still, we asked, how different is it?
Oh, it's radical. Radical. This was the house of dreams. This was what I always dreamt I would have, never thought I would. And when we're here by ourselves, I absolutely love it.
Crane's House Calls thanks Mr. Kahl for allowing us to stick around to see what's behind the walls of his stunning lakeside home.